that getting too cool? Viewing Temptations dry cat food.
Yeah, it's not correct the apartment. Thank you very much.
Are you Andy?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jin Chao. I'm your newest.
Tim, what's up? Biscuits. Thank you. Dibujo. Thank you. Yeah, the me and Mitch stream. Yeah, it went weird, but that's fine. It was 2 hours in. I was kind of done anyway. So it worked out just fine. That was music from the soundtrack to the movie The Fifth Element, which is a very weird and wild soundtrack instrumental score. It's really good. Soundtrack to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I have not. No music, just sounds. That's interesting. It's kind of a ballsy move to make for a movie score, but probably worked out just fine. Second best horror movie ever? What's the first then? I've never been into horror movies, generally speaking. I just don't like movies where some horrific monster of a creature is just slaughtering people and everyone loses. The Shining and The Thing, in addition to. I like The Thing. You're talking about the Kurt Russell movie, right? That's a hell of a show. That whole thing is just for the practical effects alone. So, as a big fan of The Thing, what did you think of that, like, recent-ish prequel that they made that's supposed to have told the story of the Swedish base? I never did see it because it never seemed to get a lot of good hype, and I just never wasted my time. But if you saw it, what did you think about it? Never seen it, never will. And that makes sense. Like, if you're a fan, like a big fan of the original, I can understand somebody just be like, no, I'm not interested. I'm kind of interested just to see how they did it and what kind of connections to the original story they can kind of come up with. But I seem to understand that they did a lot of crappy CGI special effects. I'm like, guys, did you not understand the appeal of the first one? Like, they should have leaned into the practical effects in a huge way for the new one, just to spit in the face of CGI effects. Just be like, we could still do this. Seems like a really goofed up opportunity on their part. Yeah, that's what I say. It tells the story of the other base. Like they were Swedish or Norwegian or something like that, right? You know, where the original thing starts out, that helicopter chasing that dog, and it's telling the story of who those people were and whatever hell they went through. Like, conceptually, it seems like a good idea. It's just all about execution. Like, can you do this right, guys? Needs to be scary, and oh yeah, you need to do practical effects. But what do I know? I'm just a old school fan who thinks he has an idea of how things could or should be done. Yeah, Panda, you got it exactly right. Yeah, Panda, yeah, you know what you saw. You know what you're seeing. Yeah, Tim, I haven't seen the new one. We were just talking about that, but I saw some clip where somebody put together the end of the new one and just spliced it together to lead straight into the beginning scene of the original one with the helicopter chasing the dog and all that. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Here's a question for anybody who knows the theoretical lore of the thing. Um, it doesn't say, and I don't honestly think that it needs to say, but it starts out the beginning of the movie with a spaceship crashing on the planet, right? Which I think was a stupid idea. They kind of let the cat out of the bag immediately. Like, we knew this is an alien thing. They should have just not done that. But is the implication that that spaceship belongs to the alien creature itself, or there was some other alien creatures that the thing creature monster was just infecting or something like that? It doesn't ever say anywhere, does it? Kind of like how in the first Alien, the xenomorphs infected the space jockey's ship. God, how do I keep... The Mondo Chi one. Yeah, Panda, I'm completely in agreement. What the hell's the name of the director? Luc Besson? He made a couple of really great movies. That Fifth Element for me just kind of came out of nowhere, you know. Um, and you know what? I assume it's nationwide, but in a couple of months, they're re releasing The Fifth Element in theaters. And I am 100% going to go see it in the theaters again. I have seen it 100 million times, but I want to see it in the theater again. Those opportunities don't come up very often. So, yeah, I keep seeing these ads on my social media for Coming soon, you know. Fifth Element back in theaters. I am going.
Intimate is Stud Muffin's middle name. So tell me, my man.
So the alien was taken over by the thing. I mean, that's what I kind of assumed. But do we agree that they shouldn't have shown the alien spaceship at the beginning of the movie? I mean, for those of us who've watched it forever, we've kind of just, that's all we've ever known. We just kind of accept it for what it is. But I've seen people like watch it for the first time and they're like, oh, it's an alien movie? Like, maybe they should have held off that reveal until later on when they actually find a spaceship and like, holy shit, this thing is from another world. It's not just a weird monster. It's like an alien creature. Yeah, aliens crash landed in the ice to stop it. And of course, the sci-fi geek in me is like, well, I want to know more about the other aliens that crashed on Earth in the thing, but not just the monster creature, but like the aliens who were, you know, that made the ship. I'm like, tell me more about them. Who are they? And it's kind of, again, it's kind of irrelevant to the narrative. I get it, but... And of course, it runs a risk. If you start over-explaining things, you start ruining it. Sometimes the mystery is the best part, right? Jet Li movie Kiss of the Dragon. I don't know about that one. I think the first thing I saw of his was The Professional. And I don't know that I didn't know anything about him. I just saw, like, it looked like a great movie. And so I went to the theater and saw The Professional by myself, which was Natalie Portman's first movie, right? And then that Fifth Element comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, holy crap, is this the greatest movie ever? And then he went to do, what was the Joan of Arc movie called? It's driving me nuts. I know you guys will know. And I was really excited to go see a Joan of Arc movie, not because I'm interested in like French revolutionaries necessarily, but I'm like, this is Luc Besson. This will be awesome. And it was not. I only did see it that one time. So maybe if I revisited it. Kiss of the Dragon was awesome. It didn't rely on the heavily wire stunts that Jet Li was doing. Well, that alone kind of makes me interested. If it's kind of Jet Li just doing more kind of traditional martial arts stuff, that'd be awesome. Addie, you took an English test today. Sounds fun. You finished the Phantom of the Opera novel. You can't see him the same anymore. He is a monster, right? I know it's kind of awesome to kind of like romanticize some of these creatures, but sometimes a monster is a monster, even if we can sympathize with the upbringing and the horrible things that happened with the aforementioned monster. At a certain point, monster has to be responsible for monster's actions. Yeah, that whole wire stunt fad thing, it did kind of get old. But it's like anything else, done right, it's awesome. But then it just became a fad that everyone was kind of just doing because it was cool, it was trendy. Just sucks the life out of it. Hey, Sheldon. I figured you'd be over watching David Finch. Even I was watching him for a little bit before I got started. Addie has a hypothesis. Relationship Dynamics 1990 is the most accurate, but for events and costuming 2004 is... Yeah. Well, each iteration of the story brings something different to it. Well, thanks, Ms. Addie. I'm trying to get the face. There's one of my favorite things to do that is also really hard to get right. It's a profile. You know, eyes, nose, mouth placement correct. I always struggle with that. Trying to get it right, but this one's kind of coming along, so. Well, thanks for stopping in, Addie, as always. If you're taking off. Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm referencing, I'm not pulling this out of my head, but it's coming along. Yeah, Panda. This scene in the movie, it's so cool. It's one of those things that's so weird because it's intercut with this awesome opera song that turns into kind of an opera pop rock song, intercut with Lilu beating the shit out of monsters. It's really, really awesome. Maybe the aliens kind of took a dump in what they call a bag. I mean, maybe they did. Bum, 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 bum. Excuse me. This is just for the hell of it, but I have thought about putting together another sketchbook. I've certainly got enough material to make another one. So at some point I'll put one together, but it basically is just me. I wanted to draw, but I wasn't in the mood, at least to start, to do work on a comic page. So just drawing what I wanted to because I wanted to. Concreto Robo. Thank you. How you doing? Egg, dude. Hey, what's up, man? I was just kind of actually noticing I hadn't seen you for a minute. And then suddenly you're posting up some awesome artwork, man. That stuff looked fantastic. I know you've talked about that you've been drawing, but I don't know if I've actually seen your work before. So I'm like, is this the first time I'm seeing his stuff? Yeah, you don't like social media? I mean, I think in a way most of us kind of hate at least some parts of it. But depending on what a person wants to do with their stuff, it might be one of those like unfortunate necessities. I guess if I want people to see my stuff, I have to actually use social media. But I get it. Well, thanks, Egg. I'm doing a thing I haven't really. I've sort of kind of experimented with doing drawings like this. I'm trying to get some values with ink lines. I've farted around with it before, but I'm still not at the level that I want to be to make it look the way I want it to. Panda, yeah, you're right there with you. I know we all kind of hate it, but we sacrifice viewership of our art because we want to avoid the nonsense. I agree. Yeah, Panda. Yeah. Sorry, Egg. We can do that if you really think you want my art. We could do something like that. That'd be fun.
You know, I've always found it strange. People really want to save money, but are so willing to toss their hard-earned coin into a 3-foot pool of disappointment.
I want to be rich.
I mean, I got social media locked in. I mean, kind of. I kind of feel like I'm not exploiting it to my maximum potential for maximum kind of return on visibility and potential. Like, again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm doing it for money, but getting some income is definitely helpful. But I don't do a Patreon, which everyone says I should do. But I don't want to manage another social media site where I have to post stuff on there where people would like, we're going to pay you specifically to release stuff earlier and exclusively on a Patreon, which sounds great if anybody wants to do that. But I'm just like, I don't want to spend more time managing another, social media thing. And I don't want to like make it pointless for people who want to do it. So, in a way, I might be hurting myself. If I could find a way to do this full time, I could lock in and get that social media thing really going. But I don't have enough time, it doesn't feel like. But if I want to make it work, I got to dedicate more time to it. So then I can get out of the regular job. But I have no illusions. That's not going to happen. I'm never going to be making enough money doing this crap to quit my regular job. But we'll see. Panda, do I get anxiety before being on camera? I've always been reluctant to be active, interact, and especially be on camera. I get it. I do. First off, I started doing it because one, I'm like no one's going to watch me, so who cares? And if they do, it'll probably be a couple of friends who I know, in which case, who cares? That's fine. So I started out kind of slow and just kind of got used to it. And then if I stop and think about how many people sometimes are watching, it does kind of, I just don't think about it. I do try to be kind of aware of how I kind of present myself. I mean, I feel like I'm reasonably realistic with who I am, but you know, I try to make sure that I'm appreciative of people who are chiming in and talking and giving positive feedback and hopefully making people feel like it's a worthwhile time to stop in and watch. And it turned into a thing that I wasn't expecting, but it's actually positive feedback for the most part, Panda, you know. Just getting people to just kind of like, you get just like all of you who are right here right now, just good people, and we're all kind of just we kind of know each other, we hang out, we like the same things, we talk about the same things, and it's kind of like just hanging out with some friends. Even if I don't know you guys that well, the more time goes on, we kind of get to know each other, and I kind of enjoy the interactions with the people that I get to know. And it just kind of works out in that way. So I don't know if that exactly answered your question. Yes, in a way it did at first, but only a little bit, because like I said, I wasn't really worried about it because who would watch me anyway? And I guess the only other thing that I can kind of say that I don't know how to say this without potentially sounding, I don't know, full of myself. If I feel like if a person wants to do this, like if you want to make videos talking about stuff or you want to be online, you have to kind of just it's hard to do, but free yourself to just be who you are and have a personality. And that's the part where I'm kind of embarrassed to act like I've got a personality or something like that. But if I know a lot of artists are kind of introverted, quiet types. And I feel like part of the success is just being talkative and having something to say and being something that having something to say. If that makes sense, you know, which long time ago, I would have been like, well, that's not me. I can't talk in front of people. I have nothing to say. I'm dumb. I'm introverted. I don't like talking to people. But then I just start making videos and just not thinking about what I'm saying. I'm just talking about comics and people responded, and you do live streams and you have to have kind of a personality. And I watch other people make videos sort of doing the same thing that I do. And I'm like, this is the nicest person and they mean well, but they're so dry and they're so boring and they're not adding anything. Like, they're not giving information that I didn't know. They're not telling me new stuff. They're not funny. So then it becomes, why am I watching this? You know. Hey, that's great. You get to create, you get mostly positive feedback, and you get some money on the side. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. You know, it does work out like that. It's turned into I feel like I'm doing something for the first time in my life where I'm getting to be creative and it gets seen. Like I've said, I don't create stuff because I just do it privately because I don't want people to see it. I want people to see what I do. I want feedback. Yes, that looks awesome. No, actually, that sucks. But here's, you know, and I've had several of you guys kind of point out things to me in my own stuff that I've just missed. I've just completely, you know, I'm just got blinders on, and it's actually helped me grow and strive to be better. So Reoxys, your voice and personality stand out from all the guys who show up in search results. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope I'm doing something right. Hey, you don't think you'd be talking or reading comics while I draw? I just ignore everyone commenting. And I get it. It's like when you draw, like, I get it as an artist, you want to lock in, right? Sometimes you're like, I'm drawing, and I do draw. I'm not always live streaming everything I'm drawing. Sometimes it's just me and the artboard, and I'm blasting music or a podcast. And I'm just having fun. But I've also kind of got used to it where I'm like, if I'm going to sit and draw, and if I'm comfortable with it, why not reach out and just share and let people show up and talk if they want? And maybe I'll make a new fan who watches my stuff and it just helps grow the thing.
Power their play. With Iams.
Yeah, Panda, that is 100% true. People show, and you know, if people want to show up and say, dude, you're full of shit, Liefeld's awesome, I disagree with everything you say, I'm like, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying a person has to agree with me. I do challenge people sometimes to be like, tell me where I'm wrong. Like, have a conversation, debate, for lack of a better term. But most of the time, what people do is they get personally insulting. They'll go to my Facebook page and look at a picture of me and come back and send some insult about me personally or something like that, you know? And it's like, well, then I guess that ended that conversation, didn't it? And when it gets personal, it's like 95% of the time, it doesn't bother me, but I'm not going to lie. There are times when it hurts my feelings, honestly, if I'm being completely honest. And it shouldn't. But there's still that part of me that's that shy, awkward little kid that was in, you know, elementary school was fine for me. But as soon as I hit junior high, shit got hard. Kids that were friends for years became immediate douchebags that I hated because they just suddenly changed. And I got made fun of a lot. And there's still that little part of me that kind of like gets those feelings of like that hurts, you know? But it's like a microscopic part. You grow up to be a fucking man and you just like, you understand that it's not about me. It's about them being douchebags and they're just assholes. But there is a little tiny part in the back of my head that's like, that actually hurt. Yeah, Egg, the John Byrne X-Men series. Yep. It's one of those like kind of like magical things that is almost like too good to be true if you're a fan of that era of X-Men and his art specifically. Like the guy who's the master artist has been working on a secret project for years, and he finally worked out a deal with Marvel to publish what I think is like 30 issues. It's kind of like McFarlane for me. Like McFarlane just coming out and be like, hey, bud, I drew a 5-issue Spider-Man series. Here it is. It's just out there. Just there it goes. And most of us would be like, holy shit, are you kidding me? That's amazing. So, yeah, sometimes, good things actually happen that you don't even see coming. Sometimes somebody makes a sequel to your favorite movie and it's actually awesome. Sometimes a new comic comes out that you're super excited about and it's just as good as you wanted it to be. Most of the time it sucks, but... Sheldon, the cross-hatching's coming together. Thanks. I really didn't know the direction I was going to go with it. And there's some places where I'm really kind of happy with it, and some places where I'm just kind of guessing at what I'm doing. So it's kind of coming together. Egg, you're a huge fan of sensational She-Hulk, so you're pumped. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I was saying, for anybody who's like a fan of him and his work, has to be like, holy crap, this is so cool. I kind of wish and hope, I kind of doubt that they would, But I would honestly, the best case scenario for me for this new John Byrne thing, print it on newsprint and use the old school coloring methods that they did the old books from the 70s and 80s in. Make it look like that. I don't want the modern computer coloring. If it's kind of like getting a sequel to your favorite comic from that era just decades later, I'd just rather see it colored and printed in the old school method. And I don't think there's any situation where they'd actually do that. But, that's a big ask. Panda middle school is a weird time for a lot of boys. I was definitely at the receiving end of ridicule in middle school. But you got really good at defending yourself and roasting people in early high school. Yeah, I had a hard time because I was a very shy kid that wouldn't stand up for himself and took a lot of shit. And, it took a while for me to kind of grow out of that. And you kind of look back in your head of what you would do differently now. You're like, oh man, if only I would have done this. But that's how it goes, right?
Marquee Video Search helps you find what you're looking
Egg, that sounds awesome. It's printed on that flat matte paper, so the colors are supposed to be pretty good. I'm hoping it's as awesome as it potentially could be. For real. Hey, Egg, thanks for stopping in, my brother. I really appreciate it, man. Hope you're having a good night. He's going to dip. Bumbleclot. Going to pull on this herb because it's the only one that's not 8 inches up me donkey bum.
$37 a month to protect my family. It only took me 10 minutes to get coverage. It was 100% online, and I didn't even.
Panda, I agree. I'm sitting here listening to the soundtrack, and I'm like, I want to watch it again. It's been a minute. I've seen it 1,000 times, but it's it's another one of those. I'm like, I can watch it all the time, and it never gets old. And of course, I keep thinking like, I just want to sit my oldest boy down, be like, son, watch this movie with me. You'll love it. I've tried that with a few movies over the last couple of months, and very rarely does he end up having much interest in the shit that I'm trying to get him to watch. But I'm also trying to not force anything on him. Like, sometimes you got to find a thing on your own. I'm like, watch this movie where this kid goes back in time to visit his father when he was in high school. Which is honestly something I would love to do. I have these little fantasies in my head of being able to go back in time and see my mom and dad. They met in high school when they were like 16, 17 years old, and just see what they were like. I would love that. You were specific in the mood for movies like Indiana Jones. Hell yeah. The Mummy, Back to the Future. Yeah, there's so few movies that come out that seem to match that. I acknowledge there's a lot of like, we grew up with them, and so it's just kind of the magic hit us when we were young, and it just doesn't leave us. Trying to think of, Star Wars, of course, Star Trek, for me, of course. This is all versions of things that I'm just like, these are just the greatest things. Ghostbusters, I was watching The Three Amigos recently. I'm like, oh my God, this movie's so funny. This is so great. They do not make silly shows like this anymore. The Mummy, The Matrix. That was one that's, that was 99 or something like that, right? I look on The Matrix with a lot of fondness. I really, really like it. I'm one of those weird guys that even likes the sequels a lot. Are they as good as the original? No. But they couldn't possibly be as good as the original. But I dig that original trilogy. I think the Animatrix was awesome. Filling in some of that backstory with the kind of the anime inspired stuff that inspired the movie in the first place. Yeah, Panda, I was really, 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 really excited for the fourth Matrix movie. I was like, Keanu Reeves is smart enough at this point to not take on something that will be fucked up, ruin the legacy, and fucking suck. And he did it twice. He did it with The Matrix, and he did it with Bill and Ted. It just was like, they just undid everything. And I'm like, God damn it. How hard is it to just, if you're going to come back, I guess I can understand them like, well, we don't want to retread familiar territory, but I'm like, okay, sure. If we're going to make a new movie, you got to do something unique, but can we not just fucking just ruin the original movies? I watched it once and I walked out, it was just streaming and I was pissed. What the fuck are these guys doing? They're so stupid. I think it was only one of the Wachowskis who are both girls now. And they completely fucked it up. It was so dumb. And they doubled down on the confusing nonsense. That's just like, you're like, what? What did they do? What are they doing? Oh, it's so aggravating. Yeah, the Animatrix is awesome. You don't like the Second Renaissance? Really? I love those. I think the animation's incredible. It starts out so like, here's the world of the optimism that was. And then just how by the time you get into the second one, it showed the war. And holy shit, was that brutal. I love the Second Renaissance, man. That was some of my favorite stuff. But I get it, we all kind of jive on different stuff. But yeah. But the one with the runner, and some of them I kind of feel like I might have missed the point. Was kind of the point with the runner that he was able to run so fast. He was kind of, I haven't seen it in a long time. Like he was able to outrun the program. Is that at all what they were talking about? Like, how do you interpret what the meaning of the runner was? I would actually love to hear your thoughts on it. I might be thinking too literally, but it's almost like they were saying like he was able to run so fast he could outrun the control. I thought the samurai one was good. Not exactly my favorite, but it's up there. They're all good. Yeah, kind of not quite sure. Yeah, again, it's a little vague, but I also feel like being a little vague helps because we don't need to have all the answers. I also really like, is it The Kid? Where this kid was like in high school. It's got one of my favorite soundtracks. Now I want to find that song. This song, I've had this downloaded. Yeah, I've had this downloaded on my personal list of music, and it's one like I love this song. The beat, it's slow yet invigorating, kind of inspiring. Oh my god, I just love. I'll jam this shit loud as hell any chance I get. It just starts out so simple, kind of quiet. And then, of course, for people who watched them, the Animatrix, when that kid shows up in the movie, you're like, oh, there he is. That's who that was. And then this song, I'll listen to this type of stuff really loud when I'm drawing. And if it's that weird kind of combination when the art's working and the music is just jamming and you're just in a zone. If anybody wonders if you ever ink and you have a brush that dies on you, meaning it forks and gets all fucked up, don't throw it away. The textures you can get, like a dry brush effect, this is exactly why you keep your old brushes. It's kind of like dry brush effect. It actually worked a lot better. I mean, it's exactly kind of what I wanted it to do. Montoya, what's up, my dude? Montoya did the Obi-Wan Kenobi line. Hello there. Thanks, Monty. But yeah, Panda, you kind of got me thinking about how I want to focus on putting together a new sketchbook. I'm guessing I should probably not do another like, hey, it's all naked girl sketchbook, but they still will be in there. Monty, you were looking through what you have done so far in the ash can, checking the hatching after I was going like, so many people do this and they don't know what they're doing. I was saying in the video, I was legitimately sitting here. I'm like, who am I to try to like instruct anybody on how to do this shit, you know? But there I am doing it. Well, thanks, Panda. You're kind of, I mean, it's been in the back of my mind, and I've certainly got enough sketchbook stuff put together. Or, I mean, enough sketches and individual drawings. I don't like calling them sketches. This isn't a sketch. To me, a sketch is like, a sketch is this. This is a sketch right there, where it's all the rough construction lines and stuff like that. To me, this is you know, at least an attempt at a finished drawing. So, you know, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to call it a sketchbook, but that's just me splitting hairs, kind of like, who cares? Call it an art book, that covers it all. I mean, that's true. Maybe I'll try to have one of those, an art book or a sketchbook or whatever, put together so it'll be an available tier when I do my crowdfunder for my Dick in a Jar book. Have a additional kind of incentive thing for those that are interested. The primal one, Boobatopia. Yes, it is. Adam, you loved my video on the drawing 90s comic isms. Well, thanks. Like I said in the video, I was thinking about doing it forever. Like, it's been on my mind for a long time. And I kept kind of just chickening out. I'm like, I'll just sit down and record it. And if it sucks, you know, I can always just not upload it. Even you have fantasies about making that video. See? I would actually be really interested, like, to just see art videos like that from anybody talking about, this is what I do, this is why I do, this is maybe where I struggle, this is where I feel like maybe I do kind of okay. And just to see more stuff like that. Yeah, a video about 90s image art styles and how I learned them before knowing what they meant. I'm glad that you guys understood what I was talking about. I mean, not that I kind of doubted that anybody would, but yeah, there were all these art things that I would always see everyone doing. I'm like, well, if the guy drawing these books for Extreme Studios, if he's doing it, it must be the way to do it, right? Yeah, what a very specific experience we all had. It's so true. Yeah, we all just kind of were there and kind of got exposed to this same stuff. Yeah. Same idols. Now it's a bygone era. And now I feel like there's a lot of us trying to recapture that energy, but do it the right way, for lack of a better term. Latik, what's up, my dude? I mean, that's what I'm doing, not with this drawing, but obviously my comic stuff. I'm trying to do that image style in a way, but do it. It sounds really pretentious of me to say I'm going to do it right. But, you know, try to feel like I have a better understanding of it than some of the other super young artists that were doing it had. Well, Latik, man, you are way, way, way too generous all the time, every time. Well, thanks, Adam. Monty, thanks for stopping in, dude. I appreciate it. But Latik, man, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, just trying to get some kind of gray tone values with inking. Seeing what I could come up with. Adam, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, guys. I continue to be unworthy, but I am ever grateful. Oh, Sheldon, we lost you for 30 minutes?
Charisma is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Epiclus.
It's kind of a bummer. Just kind of fades out on you. Or whatever it was that happened. Yeah, Panda, clubbed to death. Yeah, I remember it being in the theaters and that scene where they're, Morpheus is, you know, teaching Neo and he's like, these people are part of the system. And were you looking at the woman in red? This tune just was like, holy crap, man. Panda, I've thought that multiple times myself. I grew up hearing nothing but from like my parents and my grandparents how like this crap you guys listen to, this crap you guys watch, it's nothing compared. Nothing's as good as it used to be. And I used to be like, whatever, old people. And now I'm sitting here going like, the shit the kids listen to these days is garbage compared to the shit we used to listen to. What the hell has happened with culture? But I kind of agree with you, Panda. I feel like things kind of peaked and social media and just culture in general has gotten so stupid that it's like I can't believe the things that people believe, the things people will say. The nonsense that they will listen to. And I'm sitting over here going like, our shit was better. It's kind of a weird position to be in, to be like, I'm the old man now. And then at the same time, I'm trying to create pop culture interesting shit as an old man, hoping that anybody will be interested in the dumb shit I'm making. But the stuff that I'm making is honestly only interesting probably to the guys that are my age anyway. And we're all kind of grown up and we have disposable income, so we can kind of like spend shit on stuff we want. Yeah, Adam's social media ruined everything. Hate to use the word slop, but currently don't know what else to call it at this point. Current entertainment and pop culture is just, yeah, I agree with you, dude. And if it wasn't the case, they wouldn't be constantly revisiting the 80s, 90s, and 2000s to find shit that's interesting that people are interested in. I feel like the writers of entertainment today are a bunch of like trophy kids who never struggled and have no idea how to actually write stuff. And so they have no real world experience to draw from. And so it's just horrible. Adam, you fantasize about a time before the internet? For real. Yeah, Sheldon, just a good thing there happens to be a million guys our age happen to be interested in the same thing. I am very much aware of that, yeah. It's kind of a unique time to be alive. Us kids who grew up in the awesome era, the entertainment may not be awesome anymore, but now there's guys like us who want to see it and some of us who are making it. So there's an audience for this stuff. But once we die out, what's going to be left? I keep wondering what my sweet little boys are going to be kind of growing up, you know, watching and consuming and enjoying. Latik, yeah, we Gen Xers are keeping our pop culture we grew up on alive. That's it right there. You got it, man. And I'm sitting here just drawing pictures of naked girls because why not? Once we die out, who gives a shit? Boom, boom. Stole the queen from her bed and found her in her bones. The seas be ours, and by the powers where we will we roam. All hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Boom, boom, boom. Now some have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea with their keys to the cage and the devil to pray. We're laid to fill their scream. Panda, I kind of get that. I think that's an exact problem with modern youth and culture, is that There's too many young people who have no understanding or respect for history and what happened and what they have access to now. It's so dismissive and disrespectful. And hearing stories from World War II, just like you were talking about. I mean, I was born in 77, so, you know, I was a child of the 80s, and it was such a magical time, and I had no idea when I was younger. It's just, you know, the world just was what it was, but looking back on it, I'm like, oh, man, boy, did we have it good. Things were so much simpler. Adam, you've been watching 70s episodes of The Price is Right and wishing you could live there. Yeah. I keep thinking about the stories that my dad used to tell me. He was born in 55, I think it was. So when he was a 20-year-old guy, just him and his buddies and all their girlfriends or whatever would just throw a bunch of food and beer into a car, drive up the mountain, go fishing, sit around a campfire. They all knew how to sing and play guitars, so they just make music, sing, grill, and sleep in their sleeping bags by the campfire. I'm like, oh my God, that would fix so many problems in the world if that's what everyone just did, is just got with their buddies and just sang and grilled and fished and talked. Oh my, right, Adam? Right? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, Latique. Yeah, you and me are the same age, dude. 77 represent, right? But yeah, I just remember, like, there's a bunch of photos my parents took. They're up hiking in the mountains. They just got a backpack on, and they're just pictures of the trees, and they go up to a lake. They talked about how their car broke down coming down the mountain, so they kind of had to coast downhill until they could get to some place to put water in the radiator. Oh, it was so like, I'm like, oh, you know, my dad would tell me the story of how him and his buddy, they'd be driving a car down a road during the just in a kind of an empty residential street, and they'd both get out while the car's slowly cruising down the road, climb on top of the roof and switch places and jump back in the car. So now the passenger is now driving the car, but they never stopped. And my dad would be like, don't you boys ever do that shit that I used to do? And I'm like, I did my own stupid shit.
Known for sharing what you love.
Cars were simple and lasted forever. That's another thing, Adam, is like cars were like, you could fix them, you know, as long as you didn't blow up the engine, but you could change the spark plugs and hoses. And a lot of these cars, I mean, my dad used to kind of show me and sort of teach me a little bit where the inside of the bays of these giant cars, there's so much space. You could just reach in there. There's the distributor cap. There's the, you know, spark plugs and the wires. Here's the oil. Here's the radiator. You could just work on them, and you could just fix them easily. They were simple machines. So, yeah. Man, Latique, he said, you couldn't keep me from going outside. I would jump on the train from the Bronx and go downtown and walk all around Manhattan, the Bronx. Just, dude, that sounds amazing. Yeah. I've always wanted to go to New York. I don't know that I kind of want to anymore. The world's kind of changing. I don't know. Depend on where I'm at and who I'm with. But that sounds awesome, Latique. I just lived in stupid little southern Utah in a little tiny town. And so we found our own ways to be daring and crazy. Yeah, Adam, no doom scrolling. Panned about the cars. You can't even reach under the hood now. There's so much. It's just packed in so tight. Yeah, there's no fixing modern cars. You're just like, never mind. Latik, it's definitely not the New York you grew up in. It's different. Yeah. Panda, me and my brother too. Me and my older brother, we used to just jump on our bikes and ride, all over town. My dad would take us up to the far end of town, in this little town we lived in, drop us off with a few dollars and our bikes. And the town was kind of situated basically on a hill. So riding home was mostly a downhill grade slope. And we would ride several miles. But on the way home, we stopped off at the arcade. We stopped off at the comic book shop. And we would just kind of hang out. My parents would just let us, me and my brother, on our bicycles. We'd be gone for a couple of hours. And they didn't care. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, would I let my own boys do that? And I'm like, not where I live now, although I live in a good area. But I'm like, if I lived in a small town, I would like to have my boys just like, here, ride your bikes, ride downtown, play at the arcade, go get a burger and a soda, stop at a comic book store or the music store or anything, and just come home when you're ready. Yeah, me and my older brother, we used to do that stuff all the time. And it's some of my favorite memories. Just being a young guy on a bike and Slurpees and comics and video games, right? That's all we needed. A sweet cold drink, video games, going to play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Splatterhouse and all that shit. Just having the best time. We're outside and you have to learn to kind of be responsible for yourself. Like you got to watch out for traffic and you got to know where you're going. So you're learning life skills. And now it's like everyone just stays at home and scrolls on the internet and becomes stupider. Oh, I swear, if I had a DeLorean and I could go back in time, there's a couple of things I would like to do. Like I was saying, I would love to go back and just enroll into high school where my parents went and just meet them and just kind of get to know who they were. But then just go back to my old hometown back in 1988 when I was 11 years old and just see the town. Like I have a perfect clear memory of my old hometown, this little town in southern Utah. I could go through the streets in my memory right now, know where everything was. And I would just walk through those streets for days on end. I've done that as an older guy a couple of years ago. I just went down to my hometown by myself, just stayed there for 3 days. And I just drove the streets of the town. It's very different from what I remember, but there's a lot that's still the same. And I'm just like, it's just weird. It's weird getting old. We get nostalgic, the passage of time. How much time do we have left? The loss of youth. How much longer is my dick gonna work? All this bullshit, when you were just a young kid screwing around town, having a good time. And suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm almost 50. Yeah, less people. Yeah, it was a smaller town. So you didn't have to be worried about traffic quite as bad. Yeah, Adam, your kids just watch YouTube, and I guess that's what I do now too. I mean, that is very for real. That's my kids, that's me. So I'm like, I guess I can't be a hypocrite. Yeah, Latik, me and my boys would go to the arcade, then go to 161st Street Mall and compete to see who get the most numbers from females, bro. Hell yeah. Oh, I never had the balls to ever ask a girl for their phone number to this day. Well, I mean, I kind of did once a couple years ago, but it's not quite the same. But yeah, I would just look at the pretty girls and just kind of just look the other direction. Oh, dude. Where has the time gone? Where has our age gone? But like I said, all of that kind of time passing and all that type of shit is a big part of why I'm sitting here making comics every day. Keep going, make this shit. I don't want to be an old man going, I never did it, damn it. I want to be able to look back and have a pile of books and be like, look, I made this shit. Grandkids, look, Your grandpa made this book. There's this character who got his dick chopped off. And so they fought about it. They went chasing after his severed dick. And they'd be like, okay, Grandpa, thanks. Shut up, kids. Read my comics. Damn kids don't know anything. Oh, man. This weird transitional part in my life, right? We're all of us kind of in a way, like the change of time and everything. Well, thanks, Adam. I think I'm going to bag it for the night. I got to jump over and try something else on over on Facebook real quick, but I'm going to call it a night for the live stream here. But I'm going to be done permanently for the night real quick because I don't want to get back up and go to work, but, you know, I got to. So I'm going to go. So as always, Panda, thank you. Adam, thank you. Sheldon, thank you. Latik, thank you. Like, you guys are some of my favorite dudes. Thank you for being the friends I can find online. You know, I do sit here and kind of think about how I don't see a lot of people. I just go to work and I come home. I got my kids and there's a few friends I see, but there's a couple of you guys I think of as friends online, and I'm glad to be able to chat you guys up often, several times a week. So thank you guys. I appreciate it very, very much.